Hey, welcome back. I'm Jordan. I help people expand their minds, get in touch with themselves and their mind, body, soul connection so they can really get in touch with their sense of self-care. In this video, I'll be talking about the Sacral Chakra, the second chakra, just up from the root. It presides in the sacral portion of our back and in and around the top of our hips and into our lower digestive tract and our sexual organs, which becomes our sexual self, our sense of drive and passions, and even your inner core identity, like your sense of self and who you are and how you relate to other people, your sense of relationships. And because of this was a big one for me. This is why this video is so late. This is why I went from root to heart, solar plexus to heart. And this is why, interestingly enough, the universe was just not having it. I tried to do this video like 2 or 3 other times in the last couple of weeks. I had problems with the memory on my phone. I had to get a new memory card, and I had issues with just timing, and it just wasn't right. But this is me just putting it out there because, you know what, if there's not as good a time as any, sometimes you just gotta do it. And this, I know that this year has been so big for sacral chakra for so many people. That's why I'm just putting it out there, and I'm not trying to get this take perfect. And I just want to talk about it and just do it, because hell, this year, this 2020, this COVID, everything has literally ripped out the social life from all of us and forced us to be with ourselves. And for many of us, that's really scary because, I mean, for me, I had a really extroverted personality before, and it wasn't until I came into myself the last couple of years that I realized that I'm actually a very extroverted introvert that's very ambiverted and loves my own personal time. And I really do enjoy that time with myself. But it wasn't until I had that time to myself that I realized that it needed that much work. And that's why I think this year's been so big for sacral for everybody, because and for so many people I've even worked with that have had issue with this, and this year has forced us to think about this because we have a hard time disconnecting and being with ourselves. As a society, we've gotten so fast-paced that we just can't slow down anymore. And when it takes something like a pandemic bringing us to this point of, I don't know, forcing us to be with ourselves, then it's raw and it's hard and it's mucky and it's okay. So for the I get a little bit passionate about this because this has been so big this year, but it's also the chakra of creativity. Its color is orange above red, and it's also so attached to our sexual selves and our sense of passion. And I've had a lot of people tell me that they had heard somewhere that it was just the sexual chakra because it sits right around our sexual region, but that's so not true. It's in very much connection with our creative selves too, and our sense of passion for things that bring us joy. And so imbalances, if your sacral chakra is out of whack in some kind of way, imbalances can look like feeling fearful, jealousy. Imbalances play off one way or the other. They're either a very unabundant imbalance, like your sacral's not very strong, or if it's overly, it can be you're very much of an over sexually active person, or you masturbate too much, or you're not fearful, you're very domineering. See how those things play together? You can be imbalanced in sacral one way or the other. But depression is another really big one, because for me, and that's why I say this year has been so big, and I feel like sharing will help make this more relatable, because of the events of 2020 and being really forced out of my extroverted social life, where I used to get together with friends quite a bit, and I used to get together with just, people all the time. I went to college, finished that in June, but I went to college and I was really social. I worked with the Students Association, and that really had me in a place of abundance with people. And although I felt like my sacral was really strong at the time, having it ripped away forced me to analyze my self-worth and how much I valued my own quality time of my own company, and how much that was important to me without having to have it validated by somebody else and have to have plans every Friday or Saturday night in order to feel like my own company was worth having. Now, maybe sometimes we all have to go through a period in our lives of spending time with ourselves before we can really appreciate that with other people and share this person with other people that is so content with yourself that, I don't know, that other people will just receive you in such a better light, because you're not searching for other people's validation of your company just for you to feel like you're worth anything. I mean, like, how great is being a social person if you need to be social just to feel any amount of worth? So, really. Fantasies, like sexual fantasies, or even somebody that is just always not daydreaming, yes, but sexual fantasies are really big because obviously the association with sexual, but somebody who even maybe has a hard time living in this reality, maybe there's somebody who just, like makes things up all the time and has a hard time dealing with the truth and honesty. That's very related to throat too, but throat and sacral are very connected because it's about speaking your truth of who you are, and who you are is down in your sacral. So very, very connected. And at the same time, jealousy and detachment have a huge thing to play there too. If you're feeling jealousy in any sort of way, it's important to recognize those feelings, because they are not bad feelings to have. Everybody feels jealousy, especially when things like polyamory and different lifestyles are so prevalent in the world today. Everybody feels jealousy, but it's important to realize that those are not bad things. It's not bad. It's not bad to feel like you're triggered by something, but what's important is to understand why. And maybe if that's an issue for you, you could even try talking to your partner. If you're feeling, here's an example, if you're feeling jealous over your partner because they have this best friend that they talk to all the time, and you're feeling like they just spend so much more of their time with them, and you really feel like you want to put out all of this resentment and jealous energy towards them. But at the end of the day, that's your partner's best friend. And their relationship with them shouldn't have any play on your relationship with your partner. So you could approach your partner like this. You could say, hey, honey, I gotta be honest with you. I've been feeling lately like you're hanging out with Cassandra a lot. I'm just feeling like maybe that feeling's coming from somewhere, and I don't want to project that on her because she's your friend and she shouldn't be the problem here, and your friendship with her should not be an issue in our relationship. So I just want to talk to you about how we could maybe spend some more quality time together instead of coming at your partner with any kind of jealousy and feeling like, I hate your friend Cassandra, you're always spending so much time with her, and why aren't you spending as much time with me, and you used to spend so much more time with me. And that energy is coming from a place of fear too. And I mentioned fear is also a negative quality to have with sacral, because sacral is all about emotions, good or bad. And so projecting that onto that fear-based jealousy onto your partner is only going to put them in a place where they feel like now you have it out for her friend, or his or her friend Cassandra. And the reality is that's not the problem. The problem is you feeling this feeling and needing to expressing it in a proper way that's conducive of a good relationship, rather than aiming any sort of projection onto your partner. So then you could talk to them and you could work it out, and you could say, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm being triggered, I'm feeling jealousy, let's work around it, let's find a solution. And then you find a solution and you move your way forward. So you find your way forward, and then, you know, everybody's happy, and now you're probably even getting along better with your partner's best friend because you're not placing any resentment onto him or her anymore. And it's not coming from this place of you being mad at them for all the time that they spend with your partner, because now you're finding new ways to spend time with your partner instead of feeling like you're in any way placing blame on them. Placing blame is another really big thing too. You can't blame other people for things. You can only just find solutions to any problem that exists. At the end of the day, we cannot be ruled by our emotions. They're feelings, and we all experience them. It's important to understand where they're coming from, why they're happening, where this is possibly coming from, even if it's possibly an emotion that's coming from the past, that's triggered by something that you need to work through and process and really get a handle on before you can move forward. But the important thing is that emotions are emotions nonetheless. And something that's really good to do is just remind ourselves that you are not your emotions. Your emotions are something you feel, and you can experience them and find a way to deconstruct your way out of them, whether they're feelings of anxiety or anger or any of those, or jealousy, or any of those kind of really triggersome feelings that are hard to work through. At the end of the day, the most important thing is to remember that they are just feelings and emotions. And if sacral is something that you have an issue with, or emotions are something you have an issue with, then those things go hand in hand. Also, if you have trouble with constipation, back pain, urinary kidney infections, or abdominal menstruational issues for women, or even infertility, impotence, or cysts, or really anything going on downstairs, STIs, STDs, and anything, any sort of sexual or genital infections or rashes or diseases or anything like that, as much as that sucks and it can be triggersome, I apologize if it's a sore topic for anyone, but those things are very much physical manifestations of a sacral blockage that is very out and needs work, and working with the sacral can be a way to inadvertently work on those things without feeling like you need to just solely work on those things through matters of medicine. Those things are also manifestations of that blockage, and by working with that blockage, then you can also work with those physical symptoms, which is why getting like Reiki treatments and things like that are so beneficial, because you know, it's like going to physio or a massage when you really have a muscle that's out. But I mean, obviously any kind of rehab is good rehab. That's why I make these videos, so that somebody can do their own work and think about their own symptoms and their own things that are manifesting because of this particular issue, and try to work on them themselves without feeling like they need to go see somebody, especially in the world that we're in today, where it's hard to go see a massage therapist or a Reiki therapist. Now, if you really want to work on the sacral energy, if you feel like any of the things that I already mentioned are triggersome, or if you feel like they resonated with you and you really want to work on any kind of blockage that you might have with sacral, I would maybe suggest hitting the rewind button and think about those things in a kind of way that you can turn into journal prompts. Why am I feeling this way? Why do I have an issue with making plans with people, with getting bailed on by friends? Why do I have an issue making friends? Why do I have, or if there's an issue with, you know, feeling fearful for things, then maybe just try doing new things and see where that gets you. Or if there's an issue with jealousy, like I had said, you can try to readdress situations from a new perspective, or you can try to take any of those things that I mentioned and turn them into a prompt and a question, and say, if this is an imbalance, why is it an imbalance? Turn it into a journal prompt. And ask yourself the question of, why do I feel this way? If jealousy is a problem, then what have I gone through in the past that has made me feel this way, that's made me feel jealous? Why is this an issue? Or, you know, you can journal things like sexuality. Heck, if you're really trying to get through sacral, talk about sexuality in such a way that you get raw with yourself. Ask yourself things like, at what age did I first experience sex? What was it like? Was it taboo, or was it a good thing that people do when they love each other? What? Journaling is huge for sacral, because journaling is, on the one hand, I really like the author is escaping me right now. But you know what? I'll look it up and I'll leave the answer in the comment section. I'm just going to fly through that one. The handwriting is the hand thinking. I heard that once in English in college, and I've never let it go because it's perfect. Because there's something beautiful that happens when you write. Your subconscious and your conscious act together, and when you leave journal prompts for yourself and you answer them, you're prompting yourself, and your subconscious and your conscious are working together, and magic happens. You start flowing. And that's another thing about doing things in flow. So we're talking about things to heal sacral, other things that are not so tough and gritty and asking yourself hard questions. Doing anything creative, moving, dancing, yoga, moving around. Search up sacral yoga on YouTube. Shameless plug. I know this is going to be a YouTube video, but hey, look up sacral yoga. Do creative things. Be goofy. Be silly. Be weird. Be yourself. And most of all, just, do creative, funky things. And then, and with writing, it doesn't all just have to be self-journaling. It can be poetry. It can be creative writing. It can be fun. You can make it drawing. You can do artwork. Anything creative and joyful is so healing for sacral, because it's not all gritty and hard and tough and doing shadow work. It can be stuff that's more or less boosting that sacral and filling up your cup, and self-care things and things that make you love yourself, and pursuing new creative ventures. Like when I said, if you're somebody that has a hard time doing new things and stepping outside of your bubble, well then try new creative things. Do new things that scare you. You don't have to have a lack of fear. You can't be courageous without fear, because without fear doesn't exist in the courage doesn't exist in the non-fearful man. Sorry, sometimes my thoughts go faster than my mouth can keep up, and I'm really trying to just push through that instead of thinking that it's something that I need to censor. But no. Courage doesn't exist in the unfearful man. Gosh, I love that. I'm going to turn it into a new affirmation. Because, hey, that is so, so, so true. And courage is one of the positive traits of sacral. Sacral is joyful. Sacral's passionate and sexual and creative and goofy and silly and yourself. Sacral doesn't seek validation from anybody. You can also connect to the color orange. Eat orange things. Eat essentially things that are good for your lower digestive system, like carrots and papayas and citrus things like orange and peppers and water. Water too is a huge, huge, huge element of sacral. Because, as much as water is great for the lower digestive, I also have a sacral meditation that heavily has to do with water. It's about connecting the imagery of water to yourself, and that in itself is really good because you're connecting to the element of water. Sacral is connected to the moon, which is yourself in astrology. That's like your deeper self. And so sacral and the moon, lunar, water, they're all so connected. It's like, and there's so many of these elements of things like astrology and chakras that overlap, that I'll try to bring them together a little bit more if I can touch on things that do connect in different ways. But you can also you can do meditation or just visualization of visualizing yourself being covered in orange light and like glowing orange. When you're doing yoga, visualizing connecting to your sacral. And like when I do yoga, I visualize orange light coming from my sacral and then filling the room. And it gets more powerful the more asanas I start to do, and the more things start to open up. And you can also wear orange, and wear it with intent. Wear it like you're putting on something in the day and you tell yourself, this is for my sacral. This is for my chakra. For me, it's just so automatic now. It's like when I'm picking out my clothes in the morning, it's like if I put on a blue shirt, I think, yeah, do I want to wear for my eye today? Do I want to dress for my sacral today? That's how I dress now. It's funny, but it's true. It's like I literally do that every day while I'm picking out my clothes. I'm thinking, how am I expressing myself today? Whatever color that is. And crystals, thinking orange crystals. Carnelian also works for, or citrine also works for solar plexus, but it works for sacral too. But I'll get more into that with the next video. The other one that really helps that I want to talk more on is carnelian, because it's the stone of sexual energy, and it's red. It's the element of fire and passion, and it helps so much just bonding with it, holding it and keeping it in your pocket, meditating with it, bonding with it in different ways, having it like on the shelf in the bath with you, different ways, helps so much. And especially if a person is at that point in their growth where they're having a hard time journaling and asking themselves the hard questions, then sitting down with crystals, or just eating orange foods, or drinking lots of water, or any of those things that are like informal exercises. Like in the world of mindfulness, we have like informal exercises and formal exercises of self-care that are easy to do, and when you do them you just feel good about doing them, and those are the ones that boost your chakras. And then you have the ones that are, harder to do, like journaling and asking yourself tough questions if those questions are related to a block. Or doing a painting could be a formal task if you have a hard time painting, or like having sex if you have low libido. Or if you have an alright libido, then having sex could eventually just be a very informal boosting activity. But as you do different activities, you try things out and you get there. Or you can even just say affirmations to yourself. Affirmations are also one of those really informal things that you can just do to boost yourself, to fill your confidence in a specific chakra and an energy center where you're feeling a sense of lack, and just say it to yourself 5 times over in a day, of saying, I'm fearless, I'm fearless, I'm fearless, I'm creative, I'm creative, I'm creative, I am passionate, I am passionate, I am passionate, I reawaken my passion. Jealousy is unwoven with communication. I am a model of sense of self and sexuality. Any of those things, if you just say them to yourself through the day, say it as many times as need to be said. Or just simply set yourself a little goal that says, for this week, I'm going to pick one affirmation and try to look myself in the mirror and say it to myself 3 times. And see where that gets you. Start with little things. If it's hard, then start with little things. And it'll get easier. But that's all that I have on that chakra for now. I hope anybody got anything out of that. I hope it resonated with anybody. And I hope that it helped. And if you guys start trying some of those things, leave a comment. If any of those things resonated with you, or you try some of those things and they work, leave a comment. I would love to hear some feedback. I'd love to hear if any of those different things are working for you, or just anything. Let me know if you have any kind of feedback at all. Thanks. Namaste. Skol. Have a great day. Much love. Peace. Have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks. Bye.